Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be discussing altcoins, a deep dive and their correlation with stocks. So right here, what we see the IWM, the Russell 2000. Now, what the Russell is, it's a basket of stocks that are considered low caps. And if we look earlier back into this year, we saw a dead cat bounce into the market. A lot of altcoins that got destroyed in 2022 had their dead cat bounce mostly in quarter one of this year. Now, even though we did have some newer names come onto the market later on in 2023, for the most part, the majors in the altcoin sector, right? Things like Solana, for example, put in their top a few days before or a few days after the Russell 2000. And right here, Tucker is joined alongside with myself, King Wabi. And Tucker, what are we seeing here, man?
No, we're seeing exactly what you just talked about. I just marked out the times. Solana has peaked in 2023. Right here, it led the Russell by, I think, yeah, this is the weekly. So it led by a week here. It led by about 2 weeks in July. So yeah, we're seeing beta of beta, right? High cap cryptos lead risk by a week or 2 weeks. I think. Did you want to look at 2021 as well? I think we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about that.
So with 2021, the Russell peaked out in February of 2021. And if you guys look at even the price of Bitcoin, right? The Coinbase IPO was around mid-April of 2021. And you'll see that usually when we are in an uptrending macro bull market, the same thing happens. Crypto tends to overextend with equities, majorly the Russell 2000. And you'll even see your favorite altcoin, for the most part, topped out in early Q2 of 2021. The Russell peaked in February of 2021. Bitcoin around that time frame was pressing around maybe 42, 45K a few weeks after Tesla started adding Bitcoin onto their balance sheets. And then we had, those rallies in Doge, Matic, Solana, and all those things. Now, of course, there were some outliers the second half of 2021, but for the most part, the crypto asset class, when it comes to upside volatility, peaked out in the first half of 2021. More specifically, a bit after the Russell 2000 topped out in Q1 of 2021. So I'm kind of making some comparisons here, right? If history is any indication, when the Russell begins to rally, then you would expect altcoins to follow in suit. And we see names just as we've shown here with Solana. But perhaps, Tucker, we could even show some other altcoins like Optimism. The ticker is OP.
Yeah.
And also with something, the ticker is INJ. For the most part, right, they put in their peaks right around Q1. And after that, it's been nothing more than distribution. Now, of course, you've been able to play rallies, these 25, 30% intra-week rallies, but for the most part, when it comes to percentage gains leading up to certain levels, for the most part, it was capped for Q1 of this year. And history may not repeat itself, but it does tend to rhyme. So, as you guys can see here with the Russell and something like INJ, something that is deemed as one of these altcoins that is an on-chain gem but still has some centralized exchange listings, it is not invincible when it comes to the correlation of the stock market. And Tucker, what exactly outside of the usual IWM is low cap stocks? What else can you tell the people about the Russell 2000s?
So, I mean, if you just look at its correlation here to some higher cap altcoins, not super high cap, but you saw, let's see here, you saw OP peak out a week before the Russell, INJ peaked out the same week, right? This one, we saw INJ lead a little bit, right? OP did not, right? Here, obviously, INJ went on a huge run while the Russell was actually nuking, which is fairly interesting. Well, here's what happened. So the Russell nuked, it went sideways. Russell goes sideways, INJ straight up, right? OP did not have the same reaction. And you can argue whether it's tokenomics or different fundamental factors, but basically the Russell went down and sideways, OP went sideways and down. So a little, a little, intermarket correlation. I don't know how you necessarily interpret that with OP, but I mean here as well we saw the Russell peak was here. INJ led by about 2 weeks, and then OP lagged by about 2 weeks. So it's kind of different for different altcoins. It's not a perfect one-to-one across the board. Um, I don't know. It kind of depends on whichever altcoin you're looking at, but from a more macro framework, the trend is absolutely there, right? Like, if the Russell's going to go sideways or up or while in an uptrend, altcoins are probably going to rip. And if it's going to go sideways or down, altcoins are probably going to nuke. So that's kind of what I can gather from these charts. It just depends whether it's the lead lag, right? It's Michael Gayed.
What if we look at tickers that ran during 2021 more specifically, right? What if we look at something like a DOT, right, or even an AVAX or a Phantom, right? Earlier this year had quite the run up. I think Phantom rallied to like 60 cents, but that was back in February, March, right around that time frame.
Yeah, so let's see here. All right, so we've got Dot on top, the Russell right here in the middle, AVAX, Phantom. Obviously, these altcoins are going to line up pretty closely, but in terms of the Russell, all right, so you had AVAX get, that's not a small move actually. So the AVAX went up another, how much did it go? Another 70% after the Russell topped, and after Dot had topped, and after FTM had topped. AVAX ripped another 70%. But the other ones, the correlation held with the Russell. It was pretty much down only after that.
I remember in February of 2021, AVAX had rallied to $60 and then went into a downtrend during its first initial move in 2021.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward on to 2023, most of these altcoins that put in their dead cat bounces that ran in 2021 topped almost exactly right along the same time frame that the Russell did. I think AVAX and Phantom put in their tops for the year so far right around that time frame in 2023.
Yeah, and even back here though, so we saw the Russell bottom in August 2021. I mean, FTM and AVAX both kind of put in, what are God candles when this bottomed, and then you had the Russell uptrend a little, and then obviously these altcoins ripped face. So yeah, I mean the correlation is definitely there. It's just whether or not the Russell is leading or lagging. And, it does kind of depend on whichever altcoin you want to look at, whether it's going to be a week ahead or a week behind. But I mean, so how do we extrapolate that, right? How do we
from a more like lower time frame?
Yeah, so we're on the weekly. If we look at like today's price or like, the last month. Yeah. So obviously Phantom and AVAX both pretty much the same. Dot a little more dramatically down, but Russell down, right? The correlation is there, down. This pop was telegraphed a little bit. You got it more in Dot than you did in Phantom or AVAX, but in general, I mean, yeah, it holds even on lower time frames. Yeah, it's just whether or not it leads or lags and how dramatic the beta is, really, kind of depending on your altcoin and how hot it is and what the tokenomics look like. I mean, I would argue that's why OP has lagged a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty tight correlation. So if you think you know what the Russell's going to do, you probably can figure out where your favorite altcoin is going to go in the short term. But
More specifically and isolated, so we won't show any altcoins here, but how does the Russell look like on the weekly time frame? That's something that that I'm looking at, especially going into 2024. I think we'll see a resolution because it's kind of been in this massive chop range over the last like 18 months or so. It's just been,
Mhm.
as you guys see here, we've been double topping, triple topping the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of a strange little range we're in. Yeah, I mean, coming out of a downtrend, you'd assume this is gonna like probably resolve to the downside, but I don't know. It definitely doesn't have to. I mean, generally, I'm been bearish equities. We're still in the bearish seasonality for equities. I think you probably, I don't know why you'd stop right here. You know, I think you probably at least come down to 170. So, um, yeah, maybe 169. So, that would imply, another 5% on the Russell, probably be more like 10% on these altcoins lower, I'd say over the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my outlook. I mean, going into Q4, I'd say if we can get this kind of rip the bandit off, if we could get this like, bearish action finished over the next couple weeks, I think you could have a bullish into Q4. But if it's slow and it bleeds and it takes a month and a half, then I don't know if there's a ton of upside to be had throughout the end of 2023. But definitely not super bullish looking right now.
All right. We'll revisit this video at the end of the year. So, guys, thank you so much. This is King Wabi from Because Bitcoin and also Tucker. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't, if you're new to the channel. And also check out our link down below for a free 1-month access to our Discord. Thank you all, and we'll see you all on the next one. Take care.
See you guys.